Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nexus Gaming Series. I'm your host, Jason. Tonight we got an excellent best of three playoff match for you here in the C Division. It is going to be Reborn Knights Black versus Team Conflict, and I am ready to go. I'm ready to cast for these guys. Should be a really cool match. Both of these, some really solid teams out of Division C. Teams that I've casted for in my first couple of matches here, so familiar with both of these teams. And should be a lot of fun. We've got the coin flips all done. Our first map, rather, is going to be Towers of Doom. And this is, of course, a little bit different for normal NGS matches. It's a best of three instead of just a two-game series. And so we don't know what the other maps are going to be just yet. And looks like we got all 10 members in the lobby. Let me just confirm that these teams are ready to go, and we are going to get this underway to you guys. And the top 8 match, so winner will go on to the top 4, and the losing team will have plenty of time to get ready for Season 3. That's all right, looks like both teams are ready to go. And here we go. Game number 1. Going to be played out on Towers of Doom. NGS Playoffs, Reborn Knights Black, Team Conflict. Should be a lot of fun for you guys tonight. Free to give those team shout-outs in the chat. Tell us who you're rooting for. Tell us which team you are supporting tonight. And right away, Brightwing Band coming out here from Reborn Knights Black and the Garrosh in return. So two very popular heroes right now. Supports are becoming a little bit more plentiful in the Nexus. We've had lots of supports released this year, but still it's a really high contested point for these drafts. Garrosh also really tough to play against with his ability of displacement, and can be really a problem here on towers. Having to play kind of close to some dangerous points and having to team fight a lot, so it gives him plenty of opportunities for those pulls and those throws. And so Tassadar going to be the first pick up here for Reborn Knights Black. So Tassadar has fallen, I think, a little bit out of the meta. It's become pretty common for double support to come in, but we don't see as much Tassadar, especially outside the pro scene. But we've been seeing him slowly start to creep back in with some of the newer supports that give a little bit more healing power. It does hint at a hyper carry comp, so I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Vala come out later. And Team Conflict sniffing that out too, so they're going to go ahead and pick up that Vala, and then they'll grab a global here with the Dahaka. Brightwing off the field. So Team Conflict wanting to make sure they get in a global before the ban phase comes out. But the other classic pairing with Tassadar is that Tracer. Malthael also really benefiting from that extra support from the Tassadar shields. And so that is how they're going to play it here on the side of Reborn Knights Black. They've got lots of damage, lots of mobility. And we'll be looking to pick up, of course, a tank and a healer at the end of this one. They're going to start banning out the classic Tracer counter in the Varian. So no taunt to be able to really get to the Tracer. Also no polymorph to be able to set up some easy CC chains onto the Tracer. So now, what will Team Conflict do here to be able to get to that Tracer? Drag, not a very reliable way to slow down a Tracer, nor the Rain of Vengeance. Both very slow, easily dodgeable CCs for the high mobility hero with all of those dash cooldowns. So they've got a couple more options for point and click CC, but really those two are the two that I would say are the most reliable. I like the polymorph into something like an ETC slide against the Tracer, but yeah, without that taunt variant or without the Brightwing, it can be kind of rough. Uther really doesn't get a chance to get in close enough. That is what they're going to go for, though. So Uther, one of the only point-and-click stuns left. They might try and set it up off of that. But we are going to see Lucio coming out here for Reborn Knights Black. So that's going to be their main healer. Who is going to be their tank here? Wouldn't be surprised to see something like an Arthas. You kind of want something to dive in with Malthael, so they could go with something like a Diablo. Muradin would have been a good option for them, but Team Conflict scoops that up here. So that's not going to be on the table. We'll have to see. You know, there are still a couple of decent divey options to be able to get back there to aid the Tracer, to aid the Malthael that's going in deep. Tyrael could be a possible option with that Sanctification. Or they could go with some of the more standard tanks. ETC still on the table. Johanna still available. Those wouldn't be bad options here either. They are lacking a little bit in the CC department. So they are going to go with the Johanna, the Condemn, the Blinds for Vala, which will be pretty impactful in this one. And just in general, somebody that can take a beating and be able to still walk away. She also has really good deniability for these shrine areas. And, you know, when somebody's trying to cast on these altars, I should say, she's got really good deniability with the flashlight, with the Condemn, with just in general being able to walk in, punch you in the face, and then Iron Skin and walk away. She's really hard to deal with when you're trying to capture these objectives. Double tank on the other side. It's going to be a little bit rough for Team Conflict to deal with the Malthael, so they're going to go with a second true healer, Holy Trinity, coming in here for the Vala. So Vala should be able to give pretty good hope generation to the Ariel, along with the Uther heals. But this is definitely a really hyper carry Vala build here. If the side of Reborn Knights Black with the dive from Tracer and Malthael can get in there and get to the Vala, that could be trouble here for Team Conflict. We'll have to see how they approach this, as they do still have quite a bit of sustain, tank ability in the front to be able to support Vala. So the caravan gets moving. Gonna end up pulling this one out here on Towers of Doom. They do have the global advantage with the Dahaka, so it's going to give them a little bit of an edge here on a very rotation-heavy map. XP is always very, very much in demand. If you can get a little bit of an XP edge, it can really give you an advantage going into these map objectives with these altar spawns. But looks like we are loading up and ready to go here for NGS. Nexus Gaming Series. Map number 1 here in the playoffs. And throwing out the Alarak sprays is Reborn Knights Black. Is going to be your blue team on the left. Zedok going to be playing the Lucio. Subway Slayer on the Tassadar. Mr. Conductor is going to be on the Johanna. Crafty Devil is going to be playing Malthael. And the Pie Maker going to be rounding it out on Tracer. On the right, wearing the red trunks, it is Team Conflict. Wantaka is going to be playing the Muradin. Giant Dwarf is going to be playing Ariel. Michael is going to be on the Vala for this game. We're going to have Takinami is going to be on the Uther. And Snarky Tiger will be playing the Dahaka. So right away, full cheese in effect here. Now Michael actually taking a lot of those tower shots to start this one off. So they're going to have to throw out the heals early on him. But here comes the side of Reborn Knights Black, chasing him away. Tracer getting a little bit of damage, but also a lot of spread damage here. Some AoE abilities, but not all the focus being able to be put right onto Vala right out the gate. But they are able to successfully push them back. Only a little bit of damage and a couple of the ammo shots coming out of those bottom towers. And both of these teams will go ahead and start to spread out to the laning phase. Dahaka able to burrow right up to the top. And Crafty Devil will meet him in the top, so that's going to be the solo lane matchup there. That's a matchup that definitely favors the Malthael. He's got good self-sustain, and he does the percentage damage to the Dahaka. Meanwhile, both tanks going to be squaring off in the mid, which should be an endless amount of fun there for both of those guys. The Pie Maker getting a little bit low here. Gonna have to back up, tap the well. Does have the double support here, so both teams having their double support with their hyper carry in the bottom lane could be somewhat of a stalemate, but right away we're going to see Reborn Knights Black quickly rotate up to go for these sappers, and we do also see the altars are activating. We're going to have the triple altar phase both in this first altar phase and then in the 5th phase. The rest of them are random, but we can predict the 1st and the 5th ones here on Towers of Doom. And so right away we're going to see how these teams want to prioritize here. It looks like both teams are going to go ahead and throw their hyper carries in the bottom to try and defend these. Both the solo laners are going to walk up and capture the altars on each side. So 4 shots going to be thrown at each core. And now the teams will start rotating down to Haka. Actually starting to rotate to the top, but is actually going to burrow in on the back side here. The dive is real, though, onto Michael in the back line. Vala is able to get the heals, though, and the Pie Maker diving in deep will be the first to go down. Michael just barely making it out there. Meanwhile, Crafty Devil will start this cast in the back. Nice zoning here from Mr. Conductor, and he will be able to get the cast off. 4 shots. Going to be going over to the core of Team Conflict, and an early lead going over to Reborn Knights Black. As level 4 has been achieved by both of these teams. Still very even on the XP count. First blood, though, does go over to Team Conflict. Worth noting that the Pie Maker almost got that kill out onto Michael. The HP was ridiculously low. Thinking about invading here is the side of Reborn Knights Black. Mr. Conductor is going to come down, so a 4v2 situation. They've got to get out, but Vala not retreating fast enough. Now Takinami also in a lot of trouble. Going to have to retreat down into their own bell tower area there in the bot lane to be safe, and that will be a successful invade here for Reborn Knights Black, getting a little bit of an early edge, stealing those sappers, and now they're also going to actually start to support this. I really like that call, not just letting Quantaka stand up there and get in the way of this. They're going to pressure them back and force in these sappers, which are going to go straight into the bell tower. One will take out that last cannon. We get a little bit of damage out on the bottom bell tower, which is, a lot of teams prioritize this bottom lane. As you can see, both teams throwing their 3-man in here. We'll go ahead and take a look at the solo laners here for the moment. Crafty Devil is able to get a little bit of an advantage here. You can see a couple of cannon shots at least out, but meanwhile in the bottom, the re-invade. Team Conflict looking to get a little bit of revenge from that earlier invade. Meanwhile, the Pie Maker gonna have to rewind out of that situation there. Z-Doc gonna push him back for the moment off there. Mr. Conductor is all alone on that point. Everybody else from Reborn Knights Black has to retreat. He will as well. While double altar phase here in the top. Crafty Devil for a second there. Maybe thinking about going to the top right. We'll go ahead and retreat. Z-Doc is actually getting collapsed on here. Michael Ann does throw out the Q. We'll get one out onto him. Snarky Tiger able to come on in here with that brush stock and zone, but Crafty Devil able to get just the very last second poke out. Tracer, however, not as lucky. And with Reborn Knights Black completely split on the top here as level 7 is achieved by both teams, that is going to be Team Conflict able to capture that altar on the enemy side. They'll be able to back up, spread back out to the lanes. Takinami will cast that one. And all of a sudden, Team Conflict flips the script. And now they have a 4-point lead on the core here. A little bit of a rotational advantage for Reborn Knights Black as they try and get the XP advantage rolling. But right now, still pretty even. Still definitely anybody's game here. These teams showing that they're pretty evenly matched. A little mistake on one side, turn around, little mistake on the other side by the other team. Have to see where this one comes out. It'll probably lead to that last team fight like we see in quite a lot of the time. We do see the builds starting to take shape here. It is going to be the auto attack build here for Subway Slayer on that Tassadar. not choosing to go for that that AoE build that we've been seeing occasionally on the Scion Fusion. Meanwhile, it is going to be full arrow build with repeating arrow here for Michael on that Vala. Everything else pretty standard, I would say. Highmaker does go in. He's going to get the Pulse Bomb down out onto Michael. We're getting some decent damage on him, but again, the double support, able to keep him healthy enough to turn around, re-engage, throw out the Qs, start to poke the trio of Reborn Knights Black down. I have to back up and heal up. Both teams have, you know, a pretty good layout here. They have good sustained healing on both sides. Uther a little bit more burst oriented, where I would say Tassadar a little bit better at the damage prevention burst as well. So they both kind of even out a little bit. Now I do see the camp attempt here for Reborn Knights Black once again. This time it looks like the side of Team Conflict is going to give it up. Level 10 right around the corner here for Team Conflict. They're going to pick this up just in time. And still half a level away for the side of Reborn Knights Black. They do not have what they need to get level 10 here. Dahaka soaking in the top. Definitely a huge advantage in this moment. And it does look like, for now, they are going to try and stall it out. They've got another wave coming in, but very risky to go in on this. And they're going to go ahead and back up, give up these shots. And that is going to be 4 more shots going over to the side of Team Conflict, as they have now an 8-point lead on the core. They're able to clean up this camp in the bottom lane. Level 10s will be picked up for the side of Reborn Knights Black. Archon coming out along with the Blessed Shield. Sound Barrier being Tormented Souls along with Quantum Spike. Meanwhile, we do see the engagement here with those level 10s. They are coming in. We will see the Sound Barrier popped along with the Archon. They are putting a lot of pressure. Aegis will come out just in time to be able to save Michael Land. The heal comes down. The Piemaker is the first to fall here, as the side of Team Conflict able to turn around, use their own heroics. Haymaker coming out as well from Quantaka, a pick we're seeing a little bit more often taken against the Malthael, and that percentage damage to be able to punch him away if he does pop the Tormented Souls. But again, they're able to catch the Tracer out, put enough pressure to be able to get the kill, and the sustain, able to keep them alive long enough to capture that bottom camp, successfully defend, and capture their 3rd kill of the game. A bit of an advantage going for Team Conflict here as we start to enter the mid-game. We did also see the isolation coming out here from Dahaka. Divine Storm coming out from Uther. So, pretty spicy heroics coming out here from Team Conflict.
The altars rise again.
I mean, they didn't get too weird with the resurrection. It is still Aegis, so they're not going completely crazy. But definitely some interesting picks here. I mean, while we do have the double altar phase coming in, Subway Slayer finishing that quest for the basic attacks. He's going to be a little bit more impactful with that Archon, but still 25 seconds on the Archon here. All the other heroics starting to come into fold here as the altars do spawn. Crafty Devil is here to try and get the zoning, but is going to go ahead and think better of it and back off here. Both teams are going to go ahead and just trade out. Muradin actually falling there. But both teams will go ahead and trade off. Meanwhile, the Collapse coming in onto Michael and Tormented Souls coming in as well. The Aegis will be popped, but Sound Barrier in return, and the D-Shield to try and peel, but it's not enough. Vala will fall. The Piemaker going in deep. Giant Dwarf not going to be long for this world at this rate. The Archon will go ahead and finish him off. Takanami goes down, and the bottom keep is going to fall shortly after. 3-for-0 exchange here for the side of Reborn Knights Black. And right away, we will see Dahaka going to the top, trying to get the split pressure out, but it's a huge moment here for Reborn Knights Black as they're trying to turn this one around. 8 shots behind on the core still, but they are going to be able to capture this, capture these sappers, which will be marching in this bottom lane, try and score here. All 4 members here, other than Malthael, their solo laner in the top, will be trying to push this one in. Muradin is going to have to come down to try and get the defense on, and that is what the side of Team Conflict will do. They're going to try and defend these sappers. The rain comes out. Quantaka going in deep. getting the Haymaker out, and they will be able to eliminate the successfully eliminate the Sappers here. Nice defense there from the side of Team Conflict. But the side of Reborn Knights Black not going to be content with backing off here. They are going to try and hold this bottom tower, this ever influential bottom tower lane. We see a lot of teams going with this strategy nowadays. We see it a lot in the pro scene on this map as well. So we do see the side of Team Conflict ready to go in, trying to make a big deal out of this. 3-man Rain of Vengeance there from Michael. And the D-Shield to follow it up, but Uther getting very low. He's actually going to fall here. The Self-Aegis coming down onto Giant Dwarf will be able to get the heal out to try and back out here. Sound Barrier even being used, and Pulse Bomb almost gets the kill. Quantaka's going to have to back out too, but this is horrible timing for the side Team Conflict. 10 seconds before Uther comes back up in a triple altar phase with 5 of the shots being available here. This could be a 15-shot turn for the side of Reborn Knights Black, and what a moment here. What a turning point in this matchup. Brilliantly played by Reborn Knights Black. They put all the pressure, and now they are going to be able to reap the benefits here. It goes from an 8-point lead on the cores to a 7-point lead in favor of Reborn Knights Black. And now they will continue their assault in this bottom lane, trying to hold this point, even to the point of popping Archon to pressure Team Conflict back. And now what can you do? You know, you kind of poke back and forth. You try and throw what ranged abilities you can, but with Ariel, Uther, and Muradin, they can't really do a whole lot. And Vala, if she goes in too far to try and get any damage out onto this bottom tower, she's going to get annihilated by the dive potential here of Reborn Knights Black. They just got too much damage, and they're very good. They've got a very good defensive posturing team with the double supports on both sides. It's kind of just a stalemate here, and Reborn Knights Black knows that. They can continue to just do this dance and defend their bell tower here in the bot lane and keep this advantage. They also now have level 16 with an entire level lead, so they've got the extra 16 talents here to be able to help them, be able to push them back and be threatening here. We'll go in, get a little damage on Michael Ann. A 4-man Condemn, followed up by the Blessed Shield. Quantaka gonna have to back out here with the Dwarf Toss. Will actually go back in. The Cleanse coming out. Pulse Bomb gonna be canceled out by the Aegis there, and into the dead zone goes goes Tracer. And Tracer will indeed die. Oh, but the turnaround kill on to follow. The hyper carries are taken out here as this altars phase begins. Again, that bell tower is still owned by Reborn Knights Black here. Z-Doc will start the cast and the zoning will begin. The Condemn to try and keep them out. And the Haymaker doesn't quite go far enough to cancel Z-Doc, and that's going to be 5 more shots. Going over to Reborn Knights Black, level 16 advantage still there. So you would think that that wasn't going to be really something that could be contested. Meanwhile, again, 4-man Condemned by Mr. Conductor. He's really being a terror there on the front line, able to really zone and harass the members of Team Conflict. And now the full 5-man commitment here to the bot lane. They really want this tower back, but the isolation is actually going to miss there. Snarky Tiger not quite able to connect with that one. Meanwhile, all the damage coming out onto Snarky Tiger and Quantaka. They're doing a nice job of zoning them out for right now. Meanwhile, again, all 5 members are here. Level 16 has come online, though. They're trying to push in these sappers. They've got 6 sappers walking down in here. The Pie Maker gets very low, but we do see the D-Shield coming out to try and catch them. We'll only catch a couple members here. We'll see the Pulse Bomb going off. Snarky Tiger getting very low. We'll get the last second Aegis, but Muradin not so lucky, as we will see a couple of shots get pushed on over, and 5 health now left on the core for Team Conflict as the battle rages on here in the bot lane. All semblance of anything else going on this map has been completely forgotten as both teams committing super hard to trying to get control of this bottom altar. This bottom tower, I should say, the bell tower. I'll tell you what, it's really easy from a camera point. from shooting the camera. Been all day here down here in the bot lane. Another big condemn coming in from Mr. Conductor, setting up the end gauges once again. Trying to get something going here. Meanwhile, another altar has spawned here in the bot, and this is match point here for the side of Reborn Knights Black. Another big condemn coming in from Mr. Conductor with the Blessed Shield to follow it up as we have the Pie Maker going in deep. Giant Dwarf with a very early Aegis. Quantaka also getting low here. World Dwarf toss out, but not quite able to take advantage of that healing just yet. Is going to have to stay out of the fight a little longer. Mr. Conductor getting very low. D-Shield and Tassadar will actually be the first to fall. Full collapse coming onto here. Malthael will fall. Zedok is very, very low, and the side of Reborn Knights Black is on the full retreat here from this now 3-for-0 exchange, and signs of life coming from Team Conflict as they will be able to capture that shrine and keep their hopes alive here in Game 1. They're actually going to focus full onto this bottom bell tower. Should be able to get it easily with the 5-man commitment and be able to turn around and grab their own bell tower back as the momentum has shifted in this game once again. Reborn Knights Black on top for so long, but now the XP is dead even, and the side of Team Conflict is rolling. They're going to be able to capture that camp. Nice steal there, as they'll be able to try and push this in. The Pie Maker getting caught out a little bit. We'll be able to go ahead and blink on out there, though. Get away from that huge Storm Bolt trying to come in to wreck them. Meanwhile, it is the minions that are going to end up capturing that back bell tower. And now full 5-man commitment here in the bot once again by both of these teams. But now it's on the other side of the map, as Reborn Knights Black will be able to clean up the sappers and prevent this from getting too out of hand. But because of all that advantage of being able to split push and having multiple members alive, now a full level lead here for Team Conflict as double altar spawn here. Side of Reborn Knights Black does have a little bit of room here to be able to give this up if they want to. They are actually going to go ahead and recapture this bottom bell tower, but in the meantime, Team Conflict is going to try to capture the mid. They actually will not be able to get to it in time because they want to rotate down and be able to contest both of these altars. But level 20 not quite here yet for the side of Team Conflict, so this is going to be a fair fight. 19 versus 19. Crafty Devil going in deep onto Michael here with that Tormented Souls, the healing reduction as well being applied. Giant Dwarf will be able to get the Aegis out, though. But in the back, we see the side of Reborn Knights Black getting very low here. Michael will be able to come back around here, and the sustain is real on the side of Team Conflict. They will be able to get the first kill, though, here, does Reborn Knights Black, and now a second kill as they are starting to turn this around. 2-for-0, make that 3-for-0 as Giant Dwarf is going to fall down. And now all of a sudden this could be it, as both of these altars are going to be enough for the side of Reborn Knights Black to capture this game, and that is going to be it. A big late game team fight. They're able to get in there and split Team Conflict, and they will be able to capture the game number 1 here for the side of Reborn Knights Black.
Like all the others.
What an exciting series this looks like it's going to be here. Both teams back and forth in that game 1. Team Conflict not quite able to get those level 20s. I think that would have been a big factor for them if they had just been able to squeeze out that extra half level of XP. But they did commit really hard to that bottom lane and then didn't commit to the side soak at all, particularly with the Dahaka Global, which they probably could have there to try and get them 20. But at the end of the day, that even team fight at the end, Reborn Knights Black able to go in and finish it off. And that's going to be game number 1. So we'll have to see what these teams want to prioritize here for game number 2. It is going to be the option of Team Conflict, who lost that first game, to see whether they want map or first pick. We'll have to see what they decide to go for here. But very exciting first game. Actually, level 20, now that I'm seeing it in kind of the replay, they did end up getting 20 before the end of that team fight. Actually, before anybody died. So yeah, just Reborn Knights Black able to take that. I will tell you what though, they did a nice job of focusing down the Vala. Now that I'm seeing it with all of you guys, 2 minutes in the future. Or the past. Now I'm confused. They were able to focus on the Vala there. That was the big thing. They get that first kill on Vala. And with the hyper carry dead, 2 warriors, 2 tanks, there's just nothing you can do there. Malthael, a big difference in the damage factor on both of these teams. It kind of, 2 possible carries. So it will be up to Team Conflict whether they want which direction they want to go here for game number 2. They can either choose to pick the next map or get the first pick, first ban. And they are, I'm getting a report that they are discussing it. So we're going to be right here ready to go for game number 2 as soon as these guys have figured out which direction they want to go. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, guys. Should be a lot of fun to see who can come out on top and move on to the top 4. I do see a couple of Team Conflict fans in the chat. They played really well in that first game. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back here in game 2 and send us to a game 3. Nice thing about a 3-game series, you're not out of it if you slip on that first one. It was actually the map pick of Team Conflict, so we could end up seeing them going after the first pick, first ban, try and give themselves an edge here in this next one. It's hard to say which is more important. I would say in general, I think first pick, first ban is good. But, not all teams are good on all maps. I know that, everybody's definitely got their favorites. So, if you're able to play pretty good and have a good, decent understanding of every map, then a lot of times that first pick, first ban can make all the difference. These guys decide to go with here. I think this is one of 2 different NGS playoff matches that we got going on tonight. If I remember correctly, there was was it a Division A match going on? Something cool going on. Sarah, ladies and gentlemen. And where do you think you're going? Huh? Where do you think you're going? You just wanted to be on stream. I mean, that's the reality. He's like, well, you don't seem like you're doing anything, so, Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm not busy. Hi. What are you going after? Yeah, you get out of here. Alright, so it looks like they are going to go ahead and pick the map once again, and they're going to be taking us to Tomb of the Spider Queen. One of my favorite maps. All about the wave clear. And the mercs don't matter. So that does mean first pick, first ban will be going over once again to Reborn Knights Black. Looks like so far so good. We got all 10 members in. All right, just one moment here for Reborn Knights Black, and then we're going to be ready to go for game number 2. How y'all doing tonight? I'll get your answers in 2 minutes. Definitely good to be back here at NGS casting once again. I've been very appreciative of the opportunity to participate in their organization here, their community. It's been good so far. I'm actually been looking around for a team to play in myself. And seems like a good thing to be a part of. But casting, something I've enjoyed doing for the last couple years, so having a cool organization like Nexus Gaming Series to cast for has been really cool. That does look like Cynics and Reality Gaming is playing as well right now. Busy night here for NGS. Playoffs. Full form here. We get towards the end of those end of these playoffs and start to look towards Season 3 afterwards. Teams gotta have that roster apocalypse coming out. All right, looks like we got RKB ready. Let me just make sure the team conflict is ready to go. We're going to be just about ready for game number 2. And I mean, if game 2 is anywhere as close to back and forth and exciting as game 1 was, my goodness. I thought for a minute there, just for a minute, that RKB was doomed, if I'm being honest. Near the end of that match. It seemed like all momentum was going back over to Team Conflict. And it seemed like they were winning that team fight right up until they turned around and were able to get that big kill on Vala. Alright. Alright, both teams are ready. So in we go for game number 2. The NGS playoffs here of Reborn Knights Black versus Team Conflict. Ah, having a great night. Just wanted TC to win. Well, you know, you may still get your wish there. Never know. On the side of Reborn Knights Black, gonna have that first pick, first ban. They choose to take out Greymane first, which is an interesting option. Good all-around hero, good wave clear. Garrosh, pretty standard ban on the other side. And it's going to be the Zol coming out from Reborn Knights Black. A little bit spicy. I haven't seen a whole lot of Zol coming out, but he is very good on this map for the double soak. At least for now, until Blizzard decides to implement that big change to the towers never running out of ammo. For now, Zol is very good at draining the towers of their ammo. Really good in that 4-man rotation from mid to top. Constantly able to throw out some extra skeletal minions for the towers to have to deal with. Something you really have to answer to, otherwise you're going to have a bad game. But yeah, few heroes have the wave clear potential of Zol, and that's really what you want here on Towers of Doom.
Ready for action.
It looks like Team Conflict going to go back to their comfort zone with the Muradin. It's going to be the Rhaegar coming out as their main support here in game number 2. Rhaegar with really, really good wave clear forest support. Really one of the all-around best supports in terms of being able to do a little bit of everything. Speaking of wave clear, in comes Gul'dan. And CC potential coming out in spades here as Reborn Knights Black will pick up a new Barak. Good dive potential. Great potential to be able to CC and catch out heroes in the rotations. And it is going to be the Ariel band coming out here from Team Conflict. Not a big shocker. Ariel would be a good pairing here with Gul'dan. One of the classic hope generators for Ariel. Meanwhile, Ban going to be coming out here from Reborn Knights Black. Have a lot of options. They can decide to maybe focus on the Assassin pool. Haven't picked up their support yet, so want to keep their options as open as possible when it comes to the support game. Might think to maybe ban Kael'thas or somebody who has that good wave clear potential on the other side. Let's see where they decide to go with this ban, though. There's not really one particular choke point that they can really apply to really be able to cancel something out here. So they'll end up actually going with the Stukov. I'm a little bit surprised to see a healer ban. They hadn't picked up anything, but it looks like they have a plan. They know they wanted to deny something that the Stukov could do to counter their strategy. Not quite sure what that is yet, but one thing I will say is that Gul'dan definitely doesn't like being silenced, that's for sure. Two more picks coming up here for Team Conflict. Nice thing about getting Muradin and Rhaegar early is it doesn't really show your hand very much. So they could still take this draft in multiple different directions. They are going to need some wave clear, though. Rhaegar's good wave clear, but he's not good enough to stand alone in the wave clear department, especially against Zol and Gul'dan. That's just a scary amount of wave clear. So they're going to go ahead and pick up the Lucio as their second support. And this time, it's going to be Team Conflict breaking out the Malthael. An interesting pickup here. Good solo support. I mean, good solo laner in the Malthael. Definitely not a solo support over on the side of Team Conflict. The Lucio and the Rhaegar going to be a nice pairing. They do complement each other in the healing department. Lucio able to throw out that sound barrier to be able to really sustain and help you engage. Rhaegar, of course, with that Ancestral, able to help somebody who's being focused down, i.e. the Malthael. Plus you get all that extra speed to be able to help the engage. And look at Reborn Knights Black breaking out the Sylvanas. You don't see a whole lot of that anymore, but going to be really strong pushing potential, especially with the Morales. This could actually be end up not being your standard 4-1 rotation here. When you've got Sylv, it kind of hints to wanting to push one lane particularly hard. So could could be a couple of different options for them here. Meanwhile, on the side of Team Conflict, they could still use... They still need that backline damage dealer. Preferably somebody that has good self-sustain, or I should say good wave clear, and good damage from that backline. I feel like the Vala doesn't really complement well with their comp. Something with maybe a little bit more AoE potential, such as a Lunara, possibly. We're going to go to the Ming. Good amount of AoE damage, good burst damage to be able to pair with the Malthael. One thing Morales has a tough time dealing with is spread damage. She's really good at healing the crap out of one person at a time, but cannot deal with AoE damage very well. So Malthael and Li Ming both going to be able to put that pressure on. Could cause problems for Reborn Knights Black, but we'll have to see how the laning phase goes. That's going to be the game that Reborn Knights Black is trying to play, is getting good, strong push and wave clear in the early game to be able to get them an early XP advantage and try to go ahead and out-push side of Team Conflict. You have the double sustain to be able to try and keep them in lane for longer fighting. But, we'll have to see. Morales does give some good heals in that department as well. Just won't last quite as long as Lucio and Rhaegar can. I think it's going to come down to rotations, though. I think it's going to have to see how these two teams decide to rotate and put pressure on each other in these different lanes. He was able to come out on top. So early turn-ins definitely going to be a factor. Sylvanas really good at pushing with these map objectives, which are generally not that strong, but with Sylv, become a little bit stronger. But we are loading in here to Tomb of the Spider Queen for game number 2 here in this best of 3 match. Reborn Knights Black going to be on the left. Z-Doc going to be playing the Morales. Mr. Conductor on a Nubarak. Subway Slayer on the Sylvanas. The Pie Maker going to be on Gul'dan. And Crafty Devil going to be playing the Zol. Meanwhile, on the right, Team Conflict looking to bring this one back to a 1-1 tie and take us to game 3. It is going to be Michael on that Rhaegar. Wantaka going to be on the Muradin. Takinami going to be on the Lucio. Snarky Tiger is going to be playing the Malthael. And Giant Dwarf will be playing the Li Ming. So right away, 4-1 split. And a little bit of a delay there from Reborn Knights Black, but eventually they will go ahead and rotate in to grab some solid damage on one of those towers. And then we'll go ahead and walk away here. Mr. Conductor going to have that burrow charge to be able to disengage. Nice response from Team Conflict. They will rotate up early enough here to be able to get some damage out, or be able to get some damage out onto Reborn Knights Black to pressure them off that tower. They did almost get it, though. An interesting rotation choice. I would have expected the side of Reborn Knights Black to go ahead and put Zol with the rotate. Actually, Zol is going to rotate, so Crafty Devil is going to be rotating between the bottom and the mid lanes for the wave clear. Meanwhile, it's going to be a 4-man rotation with Morales and the Sylv trying to be able to put the extra pressure on. And look at the work they've gotten. They've gotten almost the entire front tower, and as Team Conflict starts to rotate away, you see Reborn Knights Black start to sneak in and try and get this done. So clearly RKB definitely had a plan what they wanted to do here. And Zol not quite able to effectively clear as fast as Snarky Tiger and Michael down here. They are going to go ahead and dive in on him. They will see the root coming down onto Michael Ann. Going to be just enough to get Crafty Devil out of trouble there. But he does get poked very, very low. And with the extra XP that the side of Reborn Knights Black is getting from the tower damage, they are going to stay even on XP for the moment. But they are missing out on the minion XP, which can be influential later in a game when Team Conflict starts to get some of those towers and catch up on the tower XP. Might give them a little bit of an advantage, but for now, working out for Reborn Knights Black. They are getting this early damage out And at least pressuring Team Conflict to have to stay with them and respond to all this pressure. Again, this 4-man rotates in. We'll be able to get the well this time and start putting a little bit of damage out onto the Fort Gul'dan. Very solid in the siege damage department. Meanwhile, solid work being done here by Team Conflict in the mid lane. They have done a nice job of trying to counter the advantage that Reborn Knights Black has gotten in the top. And I like that. I like that decision. You don't respond to the losing situation in the top. If RKB is going to have this strong push comp in the top, you're not going to really do a whole lot by trying to counter push it and trying to defend, but rather counter pushing it. Definitely a better response here. Though, the nice thing for Reborn Knights Black is they're getting a lot of pressure done in this top lane, which is the lane of priority due to the boss spawning in that top lane. So it is a nice exchange for Reborn Knights Black, but not an insurmountable advantage. Or a disadvantage, I should say, for Team Conflict. And they are doing a nice job of fending it off for the moment. Rotating Michaelan down there to the mid lane. Subway Slayer getting poked down pretty low, but nothing that Z-Doc can't heal up. Still good pressure back and forth. Gem count a little bit in favor of Team Conflict for the held gems. But RKB has managed to go ahead and plop 20 of those into the turn-in so far. Meanwhile, Crafty Devil, with all this rotating, has mounted has grabbed 34 gems, and now is going to be able to turn those in. And all of a sudden, Reborn Knights Black will be able to get the first turn-in, which is a scary moment here for Team Conflict. They got to be very careful about how they defend this against the Sylvanas comp, because with Sylvanas and that superior pushing power, this incredible push comp they got in the top, they could be looking at a fort or more in this top lane, and if Sylv decides to rotate out, could help push in those other lanes as well. Subway Slayer does go ahead and throw out the shutdown of those towers with that Black Arrow trait to help the Web Weaver get a little bit more value here. Meanwhile, 4-man commitment to the defense here is going to allow Zol to push in the mid lane as well. So Zol getting some solid damage done to that mid fort front wall. Snarky Tiger is able to dispel the bottom lane pretty well. Meanwhile, look at this push in the top yet again. Just focusing really hard on this top lane. They have about a half-level lead here. They are definitely winning the race to 10 here, is Reborn Knights Black. They are going to go ahead and continue to put pressure onto this wall. We'll be able to take the wall down, but Kwantaka coming in here. Full 5-man commitment as the side of Team Conflict has had enough, and they want to start this conflict, but a lot of damage coming out as the Pie Maker actually going to get cut off here. Gul'dan going to sacrifice himself so the rest of his team can live to tell the tale. But all the while, Crafty Devil here in the bottom lane. This crafty Devil has been getting some solid siege work done in the bot lane. Going to be able to secure this bottom fort at the end of that minion damage. So well, 2 forts and the mid fort taking a lot of damage here. The Reborn Knights Black getting some solid progress done with that first Web Weaver phase. Meanwhile, just 8 gems away here is Team Conflict, waiting for that level 10 to secure the turn-in. I really like that call, but meanwhile, I don't think they realize. Well, they realize it now, but it might be too little too late. Actually, take it back. They're rotating in just in time to be able to contest this boss. Everybody gonna start hitting the R buttons right away. We do see the Wailing Arrow coming out early to try and zone the members of Team Conflict. Right now, Reborn Knights Black is controlling the point, though. They do have Gul'dan with that Horrify, and we are going to see Horrify coming out right away, which will secure them the boss at the very least. Quantaka not able to get back in with that Dwarf Toss, but the resets are on here, as it's going to be a 4-for-1 exchange. Reborn Knights Black does get the boss, but Team Conflict is going to get the 5-for-1 exchange along with their Webweaver push. I don't know if that was worth the boss for the side of Reborn Knights Black. I would say definitely not. They give up all semblance of their XP advantage, and this is what I'm talking about with the stored XP that you have in these structures. All of a sudden, Team Conflict is going to start getting forts and front walls left and right, and it's going to end up giving them a really, really large XP advantage, which they have been silently building up with their superior lane presence, not missing as many of these minion waves. It's just a matter of time before they get that bottom fort. Crafty Devil also being dove in on. I'll tell you what, 7 kills on the board going to be here now for the side of Team Conflict. That doesn't hurt the XP bank either. Sound Barrier coming out to try and help them get out. Michael in the bottom lane does get hit by the Wailing Arrow. Subway Slayer trying to chase him down here, but with that extra speed there from Takinami, not going to be able to quite get to him. Michael will be able to make it out just fine here. Almost a level lead here at this point for the side of Team Conflict. They definitely have the gem advantage. One more gem and they will be able to pick up that next Webweaver wave. Side of Reborn Knights Black, and I'll go ahead and capture the Knight Camp in the bot lane. Or I should say the Siege Camp in the bot lane. They already have the Knight Camp pushing in the mid lane, but the wave clear potential for Reborn Knights Black will make short work of that. Mr. Conductor missing there on the burrow charge, but we'll be able to back out still. While the side of Team Conflict trying to get this turn in here. They've got 40 in the bank. 19 left in their pockets. And that max range orb there is Giant Dwarf. Nothing that Z-Doc can't heal back up though. On the Morales. Snarky Tiger splitting off there in the bot lane. Clean up those giants. Both teams kind of returning to the laning phase. Splitting up a little bit. Not getting too scrappy here as both teams have now picked up level 13. Just as I say that though, Takinami on that Lucio. Taking a look, but Michael will go ahead and complete that turn in and get another set of Web Weavers coming out here for the side of Team Conflict. Take a quick look at these ultimates. We do see it is going to be the indeed going to be the medevac coming out here from Z-Doc. No surprise for the web wrap, the skeletal mages. Oh, Sylvanas. I didn't even notice there in the top lane, actually pushing with that wave. We'll be able to get the top keep, but we'll end up paying with his life for it. Fair trade from Suicide Bonus. For the rest of the game, having those catapults spawn. Already one of them in that top lane. The side of Team Conflict's going to try and put a little pressure onto the mid keep in return. Webweaver practically dead here, though. And we'll have to go ahead and back off. Level 16, still about a level away here for Team Conflict, but they do have that level lead. While Webweaver in the bot lane actually starting to march in onto that keep front wall. They are definitely going to get some damage done down there. But it is a full 5v5 commitment here in the top. Subway Slayer taking some early damage, but the silence coming out right on top of the Horrify. They do split them up a little bit, but the recollapse here as the double support comp of Team Conflict trying to keep everyone alive. And meanwhile, the side of Reborn Knights Black trying to get Giant Dwarf, and they are going to be able to get him very low, but the sound barrier comes out just in time to be able to bring him back up. And now the turn is definitely a possibility, as the health bar is looking pretty good here for the side of Team Conflict. But without level 16, not really advisable. They'll go ahead and back up for the moment. Got a lot of damage done in that bot lane as well. They definitely have some opportunities. Both teams definitely have the map opened up here, so one big team fight win. And it's going to be good night, sweetheart, for game number 2. Both teams going to rotate out, grab some camps, but level 16 is now here for the side of Team Conflict. They should be trying to go ahead and force some conflict here. But it's actually Reborn Knights Black that's starting to rotate in towards Quantaka, who is all alone in this top lane. But he'll dwarf toss away and make it out just fine. Meanwhile, safe rotations here from Reborn Knights Black. Trying to get to that 16. They know what their win condition is. Team Conflict's going to go ahead and take advantage of that, though. Get a little damage out on the front, on the top fort, I should say. And then maybe trying to bait in for the boss at this point. Reborn Knights Black trying to sniff it out, but without level 16, I don't think they're really going to want to try to push the issue here. I'm surprised. Team Conflict not really wanting to force. I feel like this is exactly the time when they need to go ahead and force a fight. Maybe even start the boss. But they are going to go ahead and let Reborn Knights grab that 16. Could be a fatal error here for the side of Team Conflict. So we'll have to see how this ends up going. Level 16 will be picked up here for the side of Reborn Knights Black. And now with all members in the bottom lane here showing, let's see a turn-in from Reborn Knights Black. They're going to go ahead and dump all of their gems on in, and that will be enough to spawn some web weavers. They're going to start putting pressure on to this mid fort. We've still got that really strong push potential and lots of siege damage and wave clear over on the side of Reborn Knights Black. They are about a level behind at this point, but could be turned around at any moment. They do have that top web weaver already pushing in towards the core, so if the side of Reborn Knights Black is able to put pressure here, they're going to force Team Conflict into a lose-lose situation. And already we see this couple members starting to rotate towards the top, and as they vacate this mid keep, side of Reborn Knights Black is going to start putting a lot of pressure. They see the members of Team Conflict up in that top lane, and they know they're free to push here. With Zol, all this extra wave power, Sylvanas shutting down the towers, they're going to get a lot of damage done to this mid keep. They're not going to overstay their welcome, though. But we do actually see Subway Slayer getting stunned, and actually, we are going to see the dive in. Only one man Horrify there from the Pie Maker. They are able to turn around and get a ton of damage out onto Michael. He's barely staying alive, but it will be the Scythe coming out there from Crafty Devil to finish him off. The Web Raft falling down. And many of the members extremely low here. Reborn Knights Black is on the chase. The two-man stun from the Burrow Charge, and Muradin will be finished off. But Giant Dwarf goes in, is able to get one kill onto the Anubarak. But Reborn Knights Black will turn around, and all of a sudden, that is a 4-for-1 exchange, and they are going to start to turn in on the core. They're putting tons of damage down onto it, and I think this is going to be it. Reborn Knights Black are going to take the series 2-0 against Team Conflict here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Congratulations to these guys. Definitely played that last team fight well. They were very patient. And I still, I gotta look back to that moment where Team Conflict had the opportunity to force that 16 fight and ended up not really pressing the issue. And I wonder how that match might have gone differently. But you can't take anything away from Reborn Knights Black. You can tell that these guys synergize really well with their team fighting, and they are going to take this series 2-0 and move on to the top 4 here in the C Division. take a quick look at these talent builds. I didn't talk much about it. A very action-packed 17-minute game there. So we did see a very interesting pick coming out from Snarky Tiger. You don't usually see last rites coming out. But with the focus potential and the potential reset, I could see the strategy. I could see how that might have been something they practiced and tried out over Tormented Souls. Saw a lot of value early in the game off the pushing potential and the pressure there for Reborn Knights Black with the double specialist comp. That's solo tank Anubarak. Not really having any trouble being able to force and put pressure there against the double support. I kind of like that as an answer to double support. They just kind of out-pushed them. And that's going to do it for me tonight, guys. Thank you all for joining me for some cool NGS action. Congratulations once again to both of these teams for coming out and putting on a great show for us. Reborn Knights Black going to move on to that top 4, and we're looking forward to seeing what they can do in the rest of the playoffs here for the C division for the Nexus Gaming Series Season number 2. And I'll be looking to pick up some more games next week for NGS. I know we've got a lot of cool playoff action coming for you in the next couple weeks. So for the Nexus Gaming Series, I am Jay Zahn. If you guys like what you see, feel free to hit that follow button. And we'll be bringing you some more NGS action right here on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.